Reuters has a brutally honest column out today on Marco Rubio's debate goals for tonight. So they say that he has two audiences. Quote, one will be the voters, whom the surging presidential candidate needs to do well in the early voting states such as Iowa and New Hampshire. The other will be the deep-pocketed donors, some of whom have stayed on the sidelines as the Republican race has progressed, who Rubio needs to mount a large-scale national campaign. They say right now the establishment money guys are wondering, if not Bush, then who? Because of his relative youth, Cuban-American background, and telegenic appeal, Rubio, who's 44 years old, has long been viewed by pundits as perhaps the party's best hope to defeat the likely Democratic nominee, Hillary Clinton. All right, so look at this. This is now a caricature of democracy. They're explaining in this article in Reuters, and they're not wrong. They're saying that the Republican establishment is basically picking the person who's younger and good-looking, and he's Cuban-American, so he's diverse in his background. And they're trying to ride this wave of, oh, we just had the first black president. Now, people are saying with Hillary Clinton, that could be the first female president. So they're trying to, okay, we can get in on this too. We got a Cuban guy here, guys. Pay attention. Cuban guy, you want him. And this is the way that the establishment is thinking. And their goal is to make him their token shill. They want to dump money into his campaign so that he'll do their bidding. And what I love about this piece is that this is, Reuters, very mainstream, I guess you could say, in a way. And in the article, there's just this tone of it's a matter-of-fact way of speaking about it. Like, well, this is what the establishment is thinking. This is what the big money donors, the billionaires want to do, and here's why. And what's lacking from the piece, even though Reuters does a good job, oftentimes, the print outlets are much better than TV, what's lacking is this sense of, oh, wait, this isn't the way that a democracy is supposed to function. I'm waiting for, the passage where it's like, and the founders are rolling over in their graves, and this is wrong. It's supposed to be one man, one vote. Now we have two primaries, the primary among the people, but also the primary among the moneyed interests. It never comes. It's just, for all kinds of reporters and journalists, it's just another day in America. It's a Tuesday. It's 11:30. What? I'm writing an article about how we don't have a democracy anymore. You want me to get angry about it and, put it into context and perspective and give history and let people know how this is screwing them over? No, I'll just talk about it in a matter-of-fact way. No, you should be outraged over this. Because this is the root cause of all the other problems that we have. When you look at opinion polls for Congress, I mean, it varies depending on what time, of course, you're talking about, but typically you have an approval rating that goes anywhere from 9% to 22%. That range there. And it's always in that range. How can that possibly be in a democracy where we get to pick our leaders? We vote for the people, and then the day after you go look at the approval ratings, and it's 18%. Well, wait, you all just literally voted for them, so how can it be that you don't like them? Now, the answer to that is, people know on some level that, yeah, we're picking among all bad candidates. And the reason why they're all bad candidates is because you could tell them very clearly and very directly, as we have, hey, here are the priorities we want. This is what we're in favor of. We're going to vote for you. Can you go do this for us? And then they never do it. And the problem is exactly this, because, you're just a minor step in the process where it's okay, now I got to go out there and try to get the idiots to vote for me and be all cheery and say, hey, you want to vote for me, don't you? But the bigger thing is, well, I need the financial backing in order to stay in that position in the first place. It really is, kind of like a Russian oligarchy system at this point. People make fun of Iran because the religious leaders get to pick the candidates and then you choose from among those candidates. Well, we have the same thing here with the business interests. The oligarchy that gets to pick the candidates and then they prop them up and then you get to pick from among those candidates. So this is the problem. The problem is over 80% of the American people want to raise the minimum wage. Nobody's doing it. Republicans, Democrats. The problem is only 17% of the American people still want to be in Afghanistan. Both parties unanimously agree, let's stay in Afghanistan. And we can go down the list here. Over 90% want a universal background check for gun purchases. We haven't gotten that. Whenever there's a push for it, it's more of a whimper, where the Democrats like, you should water it down background check bill. Oh, no, you don't want to do it? Okay, let me run and hide for 5 years now. So this is the problem, man. The problem is the politicians aren't representing you, and people aren't screaming from the rooftop about how deeply corrupt and rotten this system is. And again, I've always maintained on this show that the mainstream media outlets on TV are the worst of the worst. I mean, they just have no clue what they're doing, and it's pathetic to watch them. The print outlets are actually not bad. New York Times, Washington Post, many online outlets that are even better than them. Reuters does not do a horrible job. Associated Press is where we get all the information for our show. But it's at the point now where, even though they're like covering the issue of money in politics, they just talk about it as if it's another step of the process and we should all be resigned to it. No, I'm not resigned to it. We shouldn't be resigned to it. We should get up and fight. And we've discussed it before, but it bears mentioning again, and I'm going to keep bringing it up until I'm blue in the face, but there's various movements to try to win on this front. There's Represent.us, which goes about it in one particular way. There's Move to Amend, Tom Hartman's group, that goes about it another way. There's Wolfpack, the one that I'm most closely affiliated with, which of course TYT is heavily involved with, where their goal is to get a very specific amendment to the Constitution which says, let's get money out of politics and let's do clean elections, which then makes it so that the politicians are funded by our tax dollars, the public's tax dollars, when they run for office. Therefore, who are they more likely to represent? Us. We gave them the money, and they're not allowed to take money from private interests. Right now, virtually all their money comes from private interests, so who the fuck are they going to represent? Right now, it's fundamentally anti-one-man, one-vote. Because if Sheldon Adelson gives Marco Rubio millions of dollars, as he does, because Sheldon Adelson's already with him, well, who's Marco Rubio more likely to represent? Sheldon Adelson, when he calls up and says, hey, stop all other casinos from being created and ban online gambling, because I need to make all the money, I need a monopoly? Or is he going to listen to some grandma in Wyoming who says, I need my Medicare expanded, and I need an increase in my Social Security payments because I can't pay the bills, I'm going to be kicked out in the street? Who's going to take priority there? Obviously the person who gave him all the money, even though morally speaking, the grandmother in Wyoming should take priority. So this is the place that we're at. If you haven't joined in the fight, you should join in the fight. Check out wolf-pac.com. And see how you can help. We just did a fundraiser where we sold Secular Talk shirts, and half the money went to Wolfpack, the other half went to Lilith Penn, who does a bunch of work for me for nothing. We raised over $2,000 for Wolfpack, and that's because I believe in the message, and I think that this is the first step in trying to fix our democracy. If we don't actually win on this, then everything else is kabuki theater.